Even if a bee could explain to a fly why honey is better than shit, the fly would not understand. Because the fly does not have a mental reference of what honey actually is. Sadly, to our own detriment, it's the exact same way for many of our people that are buried under 400 years of white indoctrinated lies. Millions of our people are now so mentally enslaved that they cannot conceptualize the truth that sets their minds free. In the age of information, ignorance is now a choice, given that truth is now more accessible. However, the oppressors have conditioned millions of our people to fear the truth and to hate those who speaks it. The mental enslavement of our people is made evident by the fact that we now have millions of us walking around daily with computers in our pockets, our cell phones, with access to unlimited verifiable information, yet insisting on believing mental enslaving lies that were brutally forced upon our enslaved ancestors. Millions of us now literally fiercely fight to defend many lies that our enslaved ancestors fought to resist. So therefore, we've been turned fundamentally, spiritually, and intellectually against our own ancestors. Therefore, against our own roots. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again while expecting a different result, while never getting that result. This is precisely the case in regards to many Black people that have been studying the Willie Lynch letter since the 1970s, trying to find a way to overcome that myth. That same definition of insanity scenario also exists for millions of Black people that have been waiting for the teachings of the Bibles to liberate us for more than 400 years. These noted ongoing practices among our people totally fits the definition of insanity. The white oppressors have our people so mentally enslaved by their lies that telling these truths now literally offends millions of Black people. They've literally conditioned millions of us to make enemies of those of us who try to encourage them to critically think and teach them the truth. Many Black people are also afraid to actually learn what's true because their identities are so deeply connected to their indoctrinated lies. To our own detriment, this is our true reality. But nonetheless, we must teach the truth, even when it's not appreciated. We must teach the truth whether we're hated for it, berated for it, or unfriended for it. We must teach the truth whether it fills the room or clears it out. Because we are called here to awaken the sleeping sheep, not to compromise with the mentally enslaved goats. Those of us who knows the truth must teach. African proverb. Our core problem is that the system of white supremacy has made the ignorant and mentally enslaved ones overconfident and has made the intelligent ones self-doubting. Therefore, the intelligent ones now remain silent. This silence allows the false belief held by the ignorant and mentally enslaved ones to prevail throughout our communities, keeping the Black masses mentally enslaved. Moreover, the overconfidence of the ignorant and mentally enslaved one causes them to make enemies of the intelligent ones, and they literally function as wardens of our mental prisons. Who are these ignorant and mentally enslaved ones? The ignorant and mentally enslaved ones, to that group, nonsense makes perfect sense. These are the ones among us that have been misled to believe that we actually made the N-word ours and that using it ridiculously empowers us. Those beliefs are both the opposite of the truth. The ignorant and mentally enslaved ones are also those who gets their morals from a book written by our most immoral enemies. These are also the ones that believes that a Bible that was brutally forced upon our enslaved ancestors will now ridiculously set us free. They're incapable of seeing the clear and logical fact that a Bible that strongly condones slavery, that was written in fact by history's most ungodliest group of people, is totally, inherently disqualified from containing the true words of God. The ignorant and mentally enslaved ones also believes that we're being controlled by the silly Willie Lynch myth, which presents what would in fact be the least effective method used for controlling generations of millions of people. It's simply not how true brainwashing is achieved. The ignorant and mentally enslaved ones also believes that we African Americans aren't originally from Africa, although millions of us have taken DNA analysis that have scientifically proven our African identity. The mentally enslaved are also those who have been misled to believe that everyone's entitled to believe whatever they choose to believe. That's usually the case, but it's actually a propaganda narrative to trick us, because there's actually a profound exception to that rule when it comes to the oppressed. The oppressed must function based upon what is actually true, because if our beliefs regarding our plight and condition are flawed, then all of our liberating strategies and remedies that stems from those false beliefs will also be flawed. This is precisely the true hidden reason why white oppressive forces have spread so much disinformation into our communities. They literally have us drowning in disinformation in regards to our plight and condition. Doing so is deliberately designed to prevent us from developing the proper liberating strategies that are necessary in order to liberate ourselves. While many of us are playing checkers, our enemies are playing chess. When people are kept clueless of what's actually true, they can be made to literally function as wardens of their own mental prisons. Proof of this is witnessed by the fact that nowadays, most Black people value most from a spouse is that their spouses be Christians. This means that what's valued most is that our spouses possesses the most colonized mindset. This is because most Black people are clueless of the true reason why the early white Christians converted our ancestors into Christians. The early white Christians' conversion of Africans into their religion had absolutely nothing to do with saving the souls of Africans so that Africans could join them in heaven during the afterlife. This is an irrefutable fact because the early white Christians literally believed that Africans had no souls and that heaven was for whites only. In fact, the early white Christians believed that the thought of an African entering the kingdom of heaven was as ridiculous as a dog doing so. This is an absolute fact. When we logically look at facts as they truly indeed were, we can say with 100% certainty that the white enslavers' conversion of our ancestors into their religion had absolutely nothing to do with saving the African souls. There was another self-serving reason why they put their time and energy into teaching Christianity to a people they otherwise treated so brutally. The self-serving reason was to indoctrinate the belief of a white God into their subconscious minds. When the Africans were taught to believe that God is white, this produced a profound adoration towards whiteness within their minds. This subconsciously happened without many Africans even realizing it. This profound adoration towards whiteness is then transferred and transposed onto white people. This made the Africans feel subservient towards white people and therefore more compliant with white dominance over their lives. It made them into better slaves, and it made Africans more easy to be colonized. The effects of that brainwashing scheme implemented originally over 400 years ago, has been left uncorrected, unremoved, and is in fact still being reinforced through movies, televisions, and paintings that still depict Jesus as being white. You know, they've got our people so brainwashed that telling these truths now literally offends millions. Now, first they lied to us, now we lie to ourselves. Many black Christians attempt to defend their religion by claiming that Christianity was first practiced in Ethiopia. Many believe that the discovery of old Ethiopian Bibles and paintings proves that Christianity was originally the religion of we Africans. However, in reality, the Roman Emperor Constantine created the false religion in the year 325 AD. Christianity did not reach Ethiopia until under the reign of King Ezana in the year 341. That's 16 years after the Romans created the false religion. So those old Bibles and Christian paintings proves nothing. Romans created the false religion. Christianity is not the original religious belief practiced by we Africans before the year 325 AD. The Bible was originally written by the Council of Bishops under the guidance of Emperor Constantine in the year 325 AD. The Christianity that we know today is a result of what those men agreed upon that long month, including the timing of the religion's most important holiday, which is Easter, which celebrates Jesus rising from the dead, the Trinity, and Jesus being a Messiah. The Romans' creating of the Jesus Messiah myth was actually an ingenious scam. Its ideology that to enter the kingdom of heaven, you had to go through Jesus, gave the church immensely greater power because it literally means that the church holds the one and only key into heaven. That's ultimate power on earth. Praying to God through a subordinate middleman, Messiah figure, was not the belief held by our ancestors. Ask yourself, why does an all-knowing God need a middleman to speak to him in your behalf? Doesn't he know you better than anyone else? Doesn't he know your soul and heart better than all? Our original spiritual system taught every individual to seek their own direct inner connection to the Most High, not through religion. A personal oneness that is established between the inner mind and that which we now know as God. It is an experience that no two individuals may necessarily verbalize in the same manner. Some may say that it speaks from above. Some may say that it speaks from within. Some may also say that it comes through the mind, while others says it comes through the heart. It doesn't matter how they describe it, because it is their own personal experience with the Most High. It is their own individual oneness with the Most High. The truth is there's no returning Messiah. That Jesus myth has been used as a tool for centuries to keep the black population complacently waiting for nothing to come down from heaven and rescue us. Furthermore, if the Bible truly contained the empowering words of God, it would have been kept as far away as possible from our enslaved ancestors and not brutally forced upon them as it in fact was. Moreover, the ungodly way of how the Bible was brutally beaten into the blood-soaked minds of our ancestors during the enslavement and the colonization of Africa totally disqualifies it from being the true words of God. Because a true, infallible God would not allow his words to be introduced to a people in such a brutally ungodly manner. Moreover, the Romans that wrote the Bible were a sexually depraved society that routinely engaged in massive orgies, pedophilia, incest, wife swapping, bestiality, and death sports. They continued these practices even after writing the Bible. Furthermore, the Emperor Constantine, the person in charge of overseeing the writing of the Bible, himself refused to convert into a Christian even while upon his deathbed. These facts combined with the additional fact that the Bible strongly condones slavery, totally disqualifies it from being the true words of God. The truth is finally coming forward, it's being manifested, but it conditioned millions of our people to fear it and to hate those who speaks it. But nonetheless, we will keep speaking the truth because the awakening is upon us. One love and peace.